and welcome. Today, as the title shows, we're actually going to be talking about Theater of the Mind versus Tabletop Miniatures. Alright, I guess I better go ahead and start off by simply explaining what I mean by both of these. Theater of the Mind is pretty much what it sounds like. It's the idea of not using miniatures or anything like that, just describing the scenario and letting the players play by pretty much, well, using their imagination. On the one hand, this helps with certain games that don't have a set movement or that sort of thing. For example, superhero games. If you've got a speedster in the superhero game who can run Mach 5, you're not going to be able to use a tabletop map well, except simply say, okay, he's over here now. Oh, and he's done 5 loops of the map. It just doesn't work well. You pretty much have to go with your imagination. On the other hand, sometimes with certain games, you pretty much need a tabletop map. I mean, really and truly, if you've got a lot of bad guys in a cluttered environment, and the players really need to know where each other are so they don't get each other in their grenade blasts or fireball radius or whatever, then it might be better to use, at the very least, a basic map with dice as terrain and, whatever. So, the key question here is, which style is better? And the key answer is neither one. Nope, neither one's better than the other. Each has a purpose. In a typical game that I run, a small encounter might not have a map, might not use the miniatures at all. But a large encounter with a lot of bad guys, or an epic encounter with the big bad, almost always will use a map, usually drawn onto a dry erase hex map or grid map. And it will have figures, and very often, because it's kind of what I do, it will have custom figures for the big bad, and of course the players in my games get custom figures. The thing is, the map is not the only use for miniatures. One campaign that we did, I actually produced 2 sizes of each figure. The regular scale and a double size scale. Now, why did I make the double size figures? Because it was next to our characters. It was an easy way to just glance. Oh yeah, he's playing a dwarf cleric this time. Oh yeah, she's playing a tiefling mage. Whatever. And by doing this, it made it a lot easier to keep track of people. Also, there is the fact that very often, in certain situations, the mage will enlarge the barbarian or the fighter, and when you've got a double-sized figure, just swap that onto the board. Bam! You've got your double-sized barbarian. It also lets me play around with a bit in the painting. For example, on his tabard here, as you can see, it's kind of hard to see, but he's got little, let me see if I can, yeah, there we go, it's a bit better view of the colors. He's got sigils on the tabard, things like that. Anyway, there are situations where Theater of the Mind works better. Case in point, no cat. Down you go. Case in point, chase sequences. If you and the party are chasing or being chased in an urban environment, moving 30 to 60 feet per round, or more if you're a monk or barbarian or, that sort of thing, it's not really feasible to keep redrawing the map every round. Instead, go for theater of the mind. Use your imagination. Just say, yeah, you're coming up to a turn to the right. And, oh no, there's a cart with cabbages all over it. Make a dex check to keep from tumbling through the cart. Whatever. Situations where it's better for map and miniatures, again, large combats with lots of enemies. Or epic combats with the big bad. That sort of thing. So, you don't have to have a figure that looks exactly like every character, although, players do tend to enjoy the miniatures more if they look exactly like their dude. Whether they see a miniature that they like and decide, okay, I'm going to make a character to fit that miniature, or if they say, I'm playing, a elf who wields a grossmesser and a Celtic style sword. So just think about things like that. And for the bad guys, yeah, it can be fun to be able to pull out an exact representation of the wyvern that is threatening the party, or the Minotaur clan that they've been fighting with. But there's also the simple fact that all you really need is just something to show where everybody and everything is. On top of all of this, it all boils down to what your group enjoys more. Do you prefer just sitting around and, how far away is he? Yeah, I'm going to go there. Or do you prefer moving the figure, okay, I'm 3 squares away, that's 15 feet, he's just within the reach of this excuse me, hiccups. He's just within the reach of this spell. Excellent. It's a matter of group taste. And so I'm going to leave you with one last thing, and that's dungeon tiles. Dungeon tiles are like the ultimate expression of miniatures on tabletop. And not cats. But by that I mean they're most useful for a big set piece. For the final battle against the big bad or whatever is coming up. Yes. And just be aware, a lot of cats tend to like playing with your miniatures often more than you do. Anyway, so that's basically my take on Theater of the Mind versus tabletop miniatures. And have a nice day.